Welcome to today's episode of Insights with Us. I'm Anastasia, a licensed professional counselor, owner of Happy Mind Wellness Company, a Colorado-based therapy practice, and creator of this podcast. My goal is to help you learn more about yourself and the human journey. Growth happens when we get uncomfortable, which happens when we sit with new ideas we haven't sat with before. I hope we can work on this journey of personal growth and understanding together. As a disclaimer, there may be swearing in this podcast, but sometimes we get caught up in the human experience. It happens. And sometimes we can talk about difficult or activating topics, so maybe put on some headphones if you need to, and remember that support exists for you if you need it or want it. And as always, I am still learning and growing. This is my second attempt at an in-person recording, and I got 2 mics this time, which is super exciting. I have already learned from this experience and hope to do better next time, so bear with me on that. I am so grateful that you decided to join me today, and you are not the only ones. Today we are joined by Jen, Emily, and Mariah, 3 women in STEM who were curious about an exercise that I use in my work called the Feelings Wheel. Join us as we name our feelings, share gratitude, support one another, and be open and honest about our current experience in this podcast. Let's see if we can create some insight today. I'm trying to say, usually in my office / when people come over to my place to record, I have so many fidget toys for people. So I'm like, my brain is like, I want to give you a fidget toy.
Oh, I would totally play with that fidget toy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have one at work too.
Yep, the 3D printed ones.
Oh, they're what?
Ooh.
I want one of those. I have a fidget cube, like the legit fidget cube.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what's in your 3D printed one?
There's just one. It's like this. It's this cube. It's like a 2x2 cube thing, but you can just keep folding it in on itself. Mm-hmm. And that one's great. But then there's also one that's like it's a bunch of like circles, and you can just
like the bubble wrap.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not that one.
I like that one too.
But it's like rings. It's like concentric rings. But then they can kind of spin in all directions, but they're not, flying loose or anything. But those are fun.
So, because there's some nerves, I'm going to start with it's one of my favorite exercises for kind of settling in. And I guided Elliot and Joe through it as well. So if you listen to that episode, you kind of know what this is. But it's called Building a Nest. And because you are all nerds like me, I'll describe it to you. So it's basically neuroception, how you interact with the external world, with your internal world, and kind of the transition between the two. And building a nest is just checking in with what you need to be as comfortable and feel as safe as possible. Okay? So the first step is externally paying attention to your space. So looking at how things are, seeing if you are comfortable right now, like maybe you want to grab a blanket or your jacket, maybe you feel pretty good. It's like I just noticed that I don't really like that right there because it's going to bug me. So I'm going to do this.
Meanwhile, I just finally noticed how comfortable these kitchen chairs are for big kitchen chairs.
Right?
They're so nice.
So yeah, just making sure that your external space feels good. And that means, like I just did, taking stuff out of the space that you don't really want in your vision, but you can also add stuff to your space. Like maybe Kara could come hang out with us. I would love to watch her during this. I'm gonna pour myself some more water before we really truly dive into what we talked about doing today.
Just nesting.
Yep, we're nesting. We're trying to get as comfortable as possible. And while Jen is working on making her external nest feel good, we can also take a second to check in with our proprioception, so our body in space. And there's 2 different ways to check in with this. First, you check in with how the external world is interacting with you. So feeling the chair rising up to support you, feeling how the back of the chair is against your back. You can feel if your feet are on the ground or if you have your legs crossed, you can feel the ground. It's not going anywhere, it's got you. Then you can feel how your back is how your body is interacting with space. So if you have any tightness, you could stretch out your shoulders. You could do a full body stretch. You could even rotate and kind of stretch out your spine. If something isn't as comfortable as you'd like, you could resituate a little bit. You could grab a pillow from the couch, you want some more support, or if you're feeling pretty good.
Just want to hug it.
Oh my God, I love hugging something. It just feels more secure that way.
I need something to fidget with, actually.
Yes. That's why we're checking in.
Yes, I realized I took everything, like all the mess out, and then I realized I have nothing to fidget with. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
You need it.
Yeah.
I usually I wear rings on purpose because I can fidget with the rings. And I didn't put any on this week.
Yeah, same here. I forgot mine.
And I also like to fidget, so actually I'm going to take my hair tie out so that I can fidget with my hair tie while we're talking. I'm also can fidget with my phone while I show you the feelings wheel, which is what we're doing today. So then the third piece is checking internally, which is going to be really cool as we check in internally with this feelings wheel. But checking internally is just seeing what your internal space is. Seeing if you're feeling nervous or calm or kind of jittery. If you're feeling...
Why are you looking at me and laughing? I'm like,
I'm just curious to know how you're feeling.
We all want to know how we're feeling today, which is why we're doing this. And also, thank you all so much for joining me on this podcast. I love you all so much, and I love that you're willing to be on this journey with me while I figure it all out. So for any of the listeners, half of us are in the room right now. I'm kidding.
Number one fans.
Number one fans. I have 3 absolutely incredible women joining me today. We have Emily, Jen, and Mariah. And I have already told them before I started recording that they can choose to participate or choose not to participate. And so you might hear some voices, you might not, but there is no pressure for what today has to look like. I'm just happy that you let me hit record while we talk about all this stuff because it's so fun for me. So what we had talked about doing is what's called the feelings wheel. And the whole idea behind a feelings wheel is literally a wheel with different feelings. It's very simple. You can find one online. I found mine online. And then the exercise that I like to do with it is just allowing the feelings to externalize so that you're not holding on to them anymore. And literally just naming it, not having to think about it or where it's coming from or what's going on, but just saying, yes, I am feeling that thing, helps create some space around it so you're not as stuck in it. Anything you'd like to add or say before I pull up the feelings wheel?
may I have a little bit more Malbec?
See, yes, get some more wine.
Absolutely.
That is building your nest, Mariah. Do whatever you need.
This is
Very
a
wet
good
nest.
nest. It's a very tasty nest. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. You know what? You can have the rest. You put that right there.
For the viewers, this is a 1 glass bottle.
It's a single glass bottle of wine that we're sharing.
It's a Malbec from Mendoza, Argentina.
Ooh. I also love the bottle.
good.
It's so cute.
It's adorable.
That is the perfect little bottle to keep and hoard forever.
I'll try to remember to take a picture of it and I'll post it on my Instagram before this episode comes out or something. If I can remember. I say we've got wine, we've got water, we've got tea, we've got the whole host of comfort liquids today for this episode. So I am pulling up this feelings wheel, and for those of you listening, yes, I will post this one on Instagram so you can look at it. Basically, there are 3 concentric circles, and the inner circle has 6 feelings on it: anger, disgust, sadness, happiness, surprise, and fear. Now, these 6 feelings are feelings that we learn when we're kids, and they are the ones that are easiest to identify. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm happy right now. Like, as a kid, you can remember moments where you felt any or all of these. And I even have memories of, like, my mom telling me, well, you're just sad right now, right? And so when we're thinking about literally right here, right now, in this moment, I have basically forced you all into being on this podcast with me. I have hijacked our ladies' night to do this. And so in this moment, are any of you feeling any of these 6 things?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I find that one thing that really jumps out at me is like looking at the wheel. It's hard for me to think of a time that my brain would jump to disgust. And I'm always just like, what does that one lead into? Like, because I'm like looking at that and I'm just like, that feels like one that out of everything else, I'm like, I don't know if I can identify that one well.
So, I love that you
The other
said
ones
that.
are happy. The other ones are like really obvious, I think.
So, okay, I want to go into that because my brain jumped to a million different things. So, I find that disgust is one of those feelings that people don't want to feel. I mean, you don't really want to feel anything that's uncomfortable, but disgust almost has like a stigma associated to it.
Yes.
Where it's like, even if you felt it, maybe you don't want to admit that you felt it, kind of a thing. And so I'm trying to think of an example for me, and honestly my mind goes back to earlier when we were talking, not on the podcast, but we're not going to go into the details of it, but we were talking about gaslighting. And it was like, oh man, I would stab someone if they like gaslight me. Like, there's anger there, but there's also a bit of disgust.
True.
Right?
Because yeah, I'm like, because I feel like my mind immediately jumps to like the anger or the sadness, and it's like, am I just ignoring that one?
Maybe.
Like, is my brain just like not thinking of that one?
Yeah, but my brain is almost like combining disgust with like judgment. Right? Like, oh, how could you do that to me?
Yeah.
Or like, how could you do that? Or, oh, I do not like this feeling. It's like when you get the ick, right?
Yes.
Ick is disgust. So it's like if you're getting the ick from somebody or an icky vibe, like that is disgust in some way.
Probably just need different lingo.
Different lingo. It's a different generation. So like, I think disgust happens more often than maybe we identify or notice. But I also think disgust is really important because it's your body's way of being like, I'm not okay with that. Just like anger, right? Anger comes out when one of our boundaries is getting crossed. So, you said that you were struggling to think of a time when you felt disgust, but what are you feeling during this podcast? What's coming up for you?
Oh, that one's easily happy. But when I was like looking at everything, I like read that one and I was just like, when do I feel that?
Yeah, I also am definitely feeling happy. I also am not gonna lie, a little bit of fear, just because like, oh God, is this gonna be okay? And also in that, I think is a little bit of surprise that all of you were actually willing to try this with me. Like, I feel some surprise in that.
I'm here because of peer pressure.
I
I love you, but I'm here because of peer pressure.
Well, I love you too, and thank you for giving in to peer pressure. So, are you feeling any of those that you'd be willing to share?
Primarily fear and a little bit of happiness.
Okay.
Because I would not give in to fear or the peer pressure if I were not comfortable with the people who are doing this with me.
Yay. I'm so glad you're here. Any that you're feeling, Jen?
I'm mostly happy. I will say, though, I did feel a bit of fear when we initially started, or before we started, and we were trying to like get ready, get set up. I did feel that a little bit of anxiousness, which I would group into fear.
Okay. So, the next step, if we were to officially be doing this exercise, is we would talk about how much we're feeling those things. And so, like, for me, I identified happiness, fear, and surprise. So if I'm sitting with it, happiness, I feel like I'm 100% happy because I love all of you. I feel very safe here, and I just love it when we hang out. I have so much gratitude. So, like, happiness is just at its full end of the spectrum right now. Fear, I feel like I may be 30% afraid right now because again, this is a very safe space for me, and I trust all of you, and I think even if this doesn't go well, or if it does go well, no matter what, this is a cool experience that I'm having with all of you. And so maybe 30% fear, and then surprise, I want to say like 10%, because I texted you ahead of time asking if you would be okay with me bringing some equipment, but in my head I'm like, but we probably won't actually pull it out, and then here we are doing this, so maybe 10% surprise.
I'm 75% happy because this is awesome and super cute. I'd say I was at 100% happy until the microphones came out. I'm I'll say also 75% fear because, I don't know, this is scary. But fun.
It's a new experience.
Yes.
And we're doing it together.
Yes.
Do you want me to hold your hand?
It's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
but you took it anyway, so I'm glad I could be there for you.
It's a nice hand. It's very soft.
Thanks. I moisturize a lot at work. Anything you two would like to add?
Emily?
Oh yeah, I'd say like I'm mostly happy. I feel like the surprise comes in a little bit just because it's that like new experience of like, oh, I haven't really, recorded myself talking since like a college presentation or something. So it's just like that newness.
Yeah. Well, and in my brain, I was like, we're literally just gonna put up some microphones and then just talk about life. But then you asked to see the feelings wheel, and I was like, oh my God, this could actually be something very educational. And then maybe we'll just talk and, just bullshit.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Jen?
Yeah, I would say personally for me, I'm feeling 90% happy and then 10% fear.
Okay. So because all of us were feeling happiness so strongly, what we're going to do next is we're going to move on to the second wedge under happiness. And there are a lot of different feelings in here. I'm going to read them all out for us. So we've got joyful, interested, proud, accepted, powerful, peaceful, intimate, and optimistic.
Ooh.
So this is all of it is within happiness and can include happiness, but it's just taking it a little bit deeper. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to pick one. You could be feeling any or all of these. And so, again, I'll go first. So sitting with this, I'm definitely joyful. I'm very interested to see how this is going to go. I am just always proud of us. Not going to lie. I was talking to Jen earlier about just how much I love feminine energy. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we can all just sit here and just incredibly brilliant women that I'm surrounded by, I just love that I get to exist in this presence with you. So tons of pride here. Totally feel accepted by all of you because you're letting me do this. I definitely feel some peace, but I feel like that surprise and anxiety is almost like taking over that peace side of like there's this anticipation. And it's hard to just sit in peace for that. Mm-hmm. And then optimistic, because I trust all of you. I think it'll be fine. So yeah, that's what that would look like to go through the third wedge, or the second wedge, rather. Anything you want to throw out there?
I feel like I'm primarily feeling the accepted, intimate, and optimistic, just because, again, this is a very good, close-knit group of people. Feel high acceptance. It's a very intimate setting in Emily's beautiful home. And then optimistic because this is a fun new thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those because, the intimate and accepted ones were the ones that jumped out to me the most. Just because I feel like I can say just about anything with you guys and I'm understood. Yeah. And it's just like, I know where you're coming from. Like, I feel the same things and, I get those vibes a lot.
It's like peak girls' night.
Yes.
Yeah. Getting deep on girls' night tonight.
Someone's gonna cry.
I hope not.
I've cried like 3 times today, guys. I keep tearing up because I love you so much.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with those feelings: intimate, accepted, and optimistic. I do feel interested and joyful as well. I think interested because I'm just kind of interested in the concept of doing a podcast, kind of like I'm engaged in this like new experience. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why that one sticks out to me a lot. And then joyful because I'm just really happy to be here, you guys. So happy to see all your beautiful faces.
So, I love it.
Yeah.
So nice.
I feel like what you just said, Emily, is why I am scared, and I had no idea why I was so scared with the microphones coming out. I think it's because this is going to be like a very intimate night with 3 people who I feel like I can say anything in front of and they'll just understand and it's totally fine. But you don't know who's on the other end of the microphone, and that's very scary. It's like, what if you say something?
Yeah. It's like a
in the girls' night
stranger
setting,
sitting here.
Yes, exactly.
They don't know me.
And that is my vibe. I have actively opened this up to my clients to listen to. And that was actively the scariest part of starting a podcast for me, because people that know me, that I purposefully have a working relationship with, that I don't share my personal lives, can suddenly come on and listen about my personal life and work and like the ethics behind my work. Talking about your personal life in session is kind of a big no-no unless there's an explicit reason to share. And I was taught to ask myself, well, if you're going to share this story, how does it benefit others? And I have actively had to retrain my brain for a podcast to be like, this is a fun story that I feel like sharing. And maybe somebody's going to listen to it. Oh, crap. Is that okay?
That's true.
But it's mine. And if it's not okay, they don't have to listen to it. And right now, I only have anywhere, I think the most I've had is like 60 listeners on one episode. But mostly it averages between like 10 and 15.
I mean, 60 is impressive.
But that was
this
the
blows
first
up to
one.
1 million, though.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's going to go back and listen to the first ones.
No, or nobody will go back and listen to the first ones. And then
The host is like, please don't.
yeah. And then this will get buried. And then we'll have to do another episode later about how wonderful feminine energy is, because then people will listen to that one.
That's true.
So
This
yeah,
would be the original one.
this is going to be the original. This will be a series. You'll come on at least once a season, right?
Mariah.
You do not have to come back if it
Do you need a live audience?
terrifies you. You could just be in the back reacting to us talking.
I'll be your laugh track.
You can be the one who's like reacting to us talking about the breakup one.
Yeah, you could just be like the happily married person while the rest of us were like, we had to leave everyone behind.
It was terrible.
But I'm fine now.
Which, for those of you listening, if we decide to keep this in, we all met through our exes and in this giant friend group, and Mariah's the one who lasted, and the rest of us are no longer in those relationships, and we've managed to stay friends.
Well, it was like the 3 of us were dating guys who were
Working with me.
Yes, it worked with you.
Yeah, you were a part of the original
That's why
friend.
you were
Yeah.
safe. You were not romantically involved with them.
Yeah.
Good job.
You didn't join the group
was a
because
good
of the
decision.
romantic connection.
You picked right.
That's what we did wrong. But now we're trying to find the right path. And we're all doing amazing.
And we found each other.
And we found each other because of those relationships.
I would argue that we've grown stronger after those relationships, 100%. And I wouldn't change it
Yeah.
anyway.
I have learned so much about myself, about people, about communication. It's definitely made me a better couples therapist. But yeah, so that is how we all know each other. And man, have we bonded.
It's been how many years?
2017.
Oh my god.
That's forever ago. Oh my god, I moved here in 2017.
Yeah.
I remember when you moved out because I met your ex before you came here.
Yeah, and I think the first time I saw most of you was Thanksgiving, because I was here for a job interview trying to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found out I got the job, and then just to top off everything it was Friendsgiving, and I think it was the Smiths that were hosting.
Oh my god, with the fried turkey?
With the fried turkey, it was that.
And then they got in trouble because they got the frying oil all over the patio.
Yep.
That was up in Gun Barrel, right?
That was in Gun Barrel.
Yes, I remember that.
I remember that too. There were so many people there. I was so overwhelmed because almost everyone was new to my life.
Wow.
So similar,
So yeah,
but yeah.
Wow, was that the first time?
that was the first time I met most of you. Yes.
That was the day Jen entered our lives. We had no idea what we were getting into, and I'm so grateful it happened.
Those years were such a blur.
Right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Okay, so we are feeling all sorts of joy and interest and intimacy and optimism. So then it gets even more in depth. I'm going to read a huge long list here of this third wedge of this happiness part of the wheel. We've got inspired, open, playful, sensitive, hopeful, loving, provocative, courageous.
Sorry.
Wow. Way to be a child. I'm kidding. Courageous. If anybody wants something provocative. You know what? I was a sex educator. We'll probably do some sexuality stuff on this podcast. It's going to happen at some point, but not today. Courageous, fulfilled, respected, confident, important, inquisitive, amused, ecstatic, and liberated. So again, you don't have to pick one. We could be feeling any or all of these. I'm definitely feeling a whole lot of love in this room.
Yes.
I'm feeling a little playful and pretty open.
Those are good ones.
And sensitive.
Yeah.
Ooh, and inquisitive.
Inquisitive.
Ecstatic.
Just curious about
I'm definitely amused.
I was just gonna say too.
I'm so amused. This is fantastic, but in the best way. This is amazing.
It's so fun, and I know that it's kind of weird having microphones when you're not used to it, but it almost makes you think a little bit harder about what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm more present because it's being recorded, and I don't know, it just like increases my gratitude.
I'll say personally, I feel slightly confident.
Hell yeah.
And I don't think it's amazing because I don't think I would feel that way like maybe 4 or 8 months ago, but it's amazing that I do feel that.
What percentage confident?
I mean, in combination of everything.
Right here, right now, what percent confident do you
I would
feel?
say 30%.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotions going on, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. So when I officially, like, strategically do this exercise, I rate all of them. So every time you feel an emotion, we would then go through 0 to 100%. How much are you feeling it for all of them? I don't really want to sit here and do numbers today. But what's cool, if you ever do, because you wanted me to email this to you after, if you ever do this exercise in this way, and then you sit through it, you just kind of process it, you can go back and re-rate, and it's usually lower after you've externalized how much you're feeling a lot of the uncomfortable emotions and potentially increasing happiness. Usually when I do this, it's with a really stressful situation. There's not a lot of happiness involved. So I'm actually really loving this because I almost never get to go to the happiness wedge.
So rarely picked.
So how many of these do people typically feel at a time? Like on the outer wedge?
So again, I've worked with people, I've never seen less than 20 in total. Most of them take like 2 full pages or like at least a full page of a Word document of writing down all these feelings. But it can be anywhere from, 20 to 60, 20 to 80. Like, it really just depends on how in tune people are. And if you're going through a really stressful situation, you could potentially make a case for all of them. Like all of the anger feelings or all of the stress feelings. And so it's how much you're willing to look at it and how deep you're willing to go, really. So just for the purposes of today, because we did the happiness wedge and that was awesome for me. I love that experience. But also getting a little uncomfortable, a lot of us felt some fear.
Oh boy.
And again, with this exercise, we don't really have to talk about why we're feeling the thing. And if you were doing this alone, I honestly don't ask people why. I just say, okay, you're feeling it. Let's move on. We just have to identify that it's something that we are feeling. So under the second part of the fear wedge of this feelings wheel, we've got humiliated, rejected, submissive, insecure, anxious, and scared. And honestly, right now, I really just feel a little bit of anxiety. Not much of the other things for me, at least.
Same.
For the sake of honesty, I guess I'll go insecure, anxious, and scared.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You get to feel it. Anything you want to add? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm at home. I feel great.
You're just happy.
I'm just happy.
Like I got my tea,
I'm
my
just
bedtime
vibing.
tea. I'm good.
I love it. All right, so then for this third wedge, under fear, we have ridiculed, disrespected, alienated, inadequate, insignificant, worthless, inferior. It's inadequate twice, but it's just because sometimes you just go through the wedge that you're feeling. Worried, overwhelmed, frightened, and terrified. I don't know if I feel any of those. I really just have a little bit of anxiety.
A little bit of general anxiety.
Just almost like I'm an anxious person.
I know, right?
Anxiety is my friend. I know it well.
I don't feel like I'm feeling any of those either. How does that work? Because don't these lead the outer wheel
It
lead into
could.
the little wheel?
It could.
Ah,
It doesn't have to.
okay.
And so what that could mean is you're good here.
Okay,
You don't need to feel anymore. It's just that is what you're feeling and you're good.
cool.
You named it. And doesn't it almost feel kind of good that there isn't anything there that speaks to you?
I was just to say, the ones on the outside tend to get, at least on this wedge, they get heavy.
Yeah,
can
like
get heavy.
terrified. Terrified is a very strong word for being a little bit nervous about talking to somebody on a microphone.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very strong word.
Yeah. And that's how it can feel. So like this anger wedge as well. Not that any of us feel angry right now, but it's got things like critical and hateful and hurt and jealous and resentful and violated and furious. And so depending on how you want to look at it though, like so like take violated, it could be really intense violation, or it could just be someone broke your trust and you thought you could trust them and then you found out you couldn't. You're going to feel a little violated there. So it might not be what you expect it to mean, but you might still be feeling it.
True.
And so the goal of this exercise, and just using the feelings wheel, I have some people that have printed it out and like put it on their fridge just so that they can see what feelings are there, is when you're going through something, instead of just going, oh, well, you know, I'm anxious right now. It's like, well, are you feeling anything else? Is there anything underneath that anxiety? Is it just anxiety, or is it more? Are you just feeling sad, or are you feeling lonely or bored or guilty about something or abandoned or inferior? Like there's so much more than just those first 6 that we feel when we're kids. And if we can externalize and give that language to the parts of us that feel those things, then maybe they don't have to have as much control over us.
I have a follow-up question. So I could see the benefit of using the wheel to kind of help express, like, be more specific with your emotions. In your sessions, do you get to ask the why? Do you kind of go further into that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Most of my questions are, or most of my sessions are like, let's get deeper. But it also depends on where your comfort level is, right? Like, I am always ready to get uncomfortable, and I love having these kinds of conversations. Like, well, what is going on for you, and what does that bring up for you? But if somebody isn't ready to go there, if they're just starting to get in touch with their feelings, and even just noticing that they have thoughts rather than just reacting to the world, then maybe we don't go as deep as we could, right? Maybe just for this week or this month, it's, well, what are you feeling? Can you name it? And maybe initially they have to use the wheel so that they get used to that vocabulary. And then maybe by the end, oh my gosh, like I had someone come in the other day that was like, well, I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that and I'm feeling this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, 6 months ago, you didn't know what a feeling was? I'm so proud of you right now. And, you know, I catch myself doing that just being able to name it. Elliot will come home and be like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm anxious and I'm overwhelmed and I had a really long day and I'm tired and that's making me sad. And he's just like, all right, thanks for telling me what I'm walking into.
Well, and I feel like that's so helpful, especially even for like just in your personal life, because if you say I'm sad, well, clearly that can get misinterpreted. If you say you're angry, like that can get misinterpreted because you're like, okay, but what kind of sad? What kind of angry am I?
Yeah.
And then it's like you can actually target it down, so that person like they actually they actually get it as well. So you can communicate it, and then they know, okay, you're feeling this kind of way, actually. This is how I can, support you and comfort you, something like that.
Like, I'm sad because I'm lonely. Okay, I'll give you company, versus
Yeah.
like, I'm sad because this really horrible thing happened and I need to be alone. Okay, well then they know to leave you alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all better than I'm fine.
And it's all better than I'm
Always.
fine.
Yes.
And, okay, so I talked about this a little bit in the mindful masculinity episode of like not making assumptions and being really upfront and having intentional conversations. If you're not fine and you say you're fine, your partner cannot read your mind. And so they did not do something wrong by believing you when you say you're fine. And if you say you're fine and you're not fine, it's also okay to not be ready to talk about what you're not fine about. So like sometimes I catch myself being like, I'm just fine. And in my head, I know it's like, okay, I know I'm not fine, but I'm still processing, or this is still really raw and I'm not ready to talk about it. So when I am ready, I usually say, hey, I know I said I was fine earlier. I actually wasn't, but I really needed to process and I was so stuck in it that I couldn't tell you. When you're ready, I'm ready to talk about it.
Is there like a better thing to say during those times than I'm fine, when like really you're spiraling inside?
I'm spiraling inside. Can you give me
When in doubt, just be honest.
Always be honest. I literally say that. Quite literally. I'll be like, I am having an anxiety spiral right now, and my brain and all these parts of me are in conflict because, so like, I'm a really big introvert, but I love to socialize. And I tend to say yes to everything and then get overwhelmed and then have to cancel a lot of stuff, or like force myself to go because I committed to going and I want to go, but like I don't want to go because I'm tired. And so I'll be like, I am having an anxiety spiral right now because I don't want to go to the thing, but I really want to support the person who's having the thing. And like, I want to go, but it's going to be loud and overstimulating, and I'm going to hate it after that I went, but also I really want to go. So I'm having an anxious spiral, and nothing you can do will help me, and I just need you to sit there and let me go through it. And Elliot will just be like, okay. I guess I can do that. No, I'm kidding. He's always like, of course, whatever you need. Let me know if you think of something I can do to support you. I'm going to go over here and leave you alone until you tell me otherwise. So yes. But we have very open communication and have worked very hard on that.
Yeah. I feel like it's always good to have something like in your back pocket for when your brain is like on overdrive. You can just be like, almost like a safe word for being like, I just need a moment.
Do you have a safe word?
No, I need one probably.
You should get a safe word.
Mine's usually I need to go lie down.
That's a great safe word. I need to
And
go
I
lie
just
down.
bolt.
Sadie, in one of her past relationships, would text a picture of an astronaut of like, I need space.
I love that.
Yeah. I know for a minute there, I would text like pictures of burritos of like, I need to like blanket burrito, like leave me alone. I gotta go like get into the couch in all my comfy clothes. So I'd text a picture of burrito.
I like those.
Or you could use like I've heard one of the more famous examples I've heard, like Louisa May Alcott, the writer Little Woman. She used to have a designated pillow, and if it was sideways, it would told her family to leave me alone. I need alone time.
That is
There's
a whole code.
That's like a legit code that nobody else knows.
Yeah, well, except if you go to her house and they tell you about it. But yeah, like you could use something physical in the house too. That's like within the area, so that way when Matt comes up and he sees, maybe it's like right there, and he knows like, oh, Emily, leave her alone. Leave her alone time.
Shuts the bedroom door shut.
Shut. It's locked.
If it is shut, that and the dog's not in with me.
When I lived in the frat house, because it's 4 dudes and me, I have this really oversized, super comfy orange hoodie that I love wearing. And before I lived in that house, I would always just put it on when I felt kind of crummy because, it was comfy and it was oversized and I could like snuggle in it and I could shift on the couch without it like catching my neck because it was so big. And so it was just my comfort hoodie. I loved it. And then they started to associate, I'm kind of grumpy, so I'm wearing this hoodie, with like, this hoodie means don't talk to her. And I ran with it. The second one of them was like, yeah, well, that's your hoodie for like, don't talk to me, right? I'm like, is that what this can mean?
Like, yes, it is.
And so then anytime I had a long day, anytime they were just being obnoxious, anytime I was like, I do not want to deal with dudes right now, I would just put on my orange hoodie and all of them would pretend I didn't exist. And it made me so happy.
It's like an orange construction sign.
Exactly.
Avoid.
Like, warning, avoid. And
Caution.
they completely made it up in their heads. It's not why I wore it. Like, I didn't wear it when I was having a bad day. I was just wearing it when I wanted an extra comfort. And then they turned it into, wear this when you're having a bad day and don't want to deal with us.
Engineers should know the difference between correlation and causation.
I know, but I never told them because I just wanted it to mean that, and I just accepted it and then ran with it myself.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I still don't think they know to this day that they came up with that rule and I just went with it.
That's amazing.
So, any reactions? What'd you think about the feelings wheel? Or our conversation about the feelings wheel? We can get super meta with it.
I guess I'm curious about the logic versus feelings brain, because you said there are no logic brains, but I feel like, and I'm usually a feelings brain, I think, but
Yeah.
I feel like this wheel makes me think more logic brain, like I'm trying to name what I'm feeling, and then, okay, it has a name and I'm thinking through it.
Yeah.
How does that apply?
So, when you're learning a concept, it's really helpful to stay structured to begin with and to simplify it. And so the feelings wheel makes it really structured and really simple to understand. And then as you get better at naming, you're not as structured, right? You come in, you're like, well, I'm just kind of feeling this way right now. And then you can go into like, well, why? And where's that coming from? And does this remind you anything about your past? And where do you, like, what is it trying to do to help you when you're feeling this way? And like, you can go so much deeper and not as logical with it. But so often when we try to be super logical, we're really just reacting to our past, to our patterns, to how we think about things and our feelings. I don't really do a lot of CBT anymore, but one of the main...
What's CBT?
Cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm so glad you asked. I don't want to be super jargony. So in cognitive behavioral therapy, you can think of it like a triangle. So you have your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. And they all interact with each other in the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And so your feelings, you don't really have control over them. They are a reaction to your situation. They're just going to be there. You're going to feel things because you're human. And thoughts can also be automatic. There are thoughts that you intentionally think, but there are also thoughts that are really just a reaction. And a lot of those can be very unhelpful, or even though your brain thinks they're logical, they're not actually logical. And often we can conflate of like, if I have this thought, because I'm having the thought, it means it's true. But that's not the case at all in any way, shape, or form. You having the thought just means your brain had a thought. And then you get to decide what to do with it and question whether it's true or not. One that I get stuck in a lot is all or nothing thinking. Like, it has to be perfect. It has to be this way. If it's not that, then what's even the point, right? And so if your brain goes, well, it has to be perfect, or what's even the point, you should just give up. Well, if I believe that was true, I would not have a single podcast episode released, because none of them are perfect. So because even though my brain would have that thought, I'd pause and go, wait, that's not true. That's just all or nothing thinking based on this fear of failure, fear of disconnection. All of this anxiety helped inform that thought. So even though my brain might be like, no, perfectionism is what it needs to be. That's true. That's fact. That's logical. Is it really? Not really.
Mm-hmm. Are there any feelings that you think should be on the wheel that aren't?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't have the wheel memorized. I don't even know what's on the wheel. I just go up to it and look at it and go, that one.
That must be kind of nice. Yeah, I feel like this would be kind of like what you were mentioning with like getting the better words to express how you're feeling, like through journaling.
Mm-hmm.
I think intrigues me the most with this.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of, especially to see if there are ever any like just like concepts constant themes. Like if there's like a certain one that I keep going back to,
Yeah.
because I think one of the biggest things I've been having is, you know, coming home from like a hard, stressful day and just kind of feeling that general feeling of upset, and just then not really knowing, okay, what exactly was it that caused it, like, or several things, and then how do I deal with that? And I'd be really curious to know if there's something that keeps coming up whenever I'm feeling like that, and it's that general feeling.
I'd be so curious about that too, because it could be situational. It could be you having to have like a really big meeting with someone that you just struggle to deal with. It could also just be, love the facial expressions there. Working with people is hard, just in general. But also it could just be things like maybe your nervous system gets overwhelmed when you have a few more things than normal on your list, right? Or like, my entire house was always an overhead light person, like household. And my mom really does not like lamps. So we never had lamps growing up. And then I started working in an office and I always had the overhead lamp on. This was back when I had all my really bad headaches and all the chronic pain before I started treatment. And I learned that the lamps and the like dimmer lighting was better for my head. And like I would get home at the end of the day in so much pain and so angry and so overwhelmed. And then I just needed like better lighting and it went down a little bit.
Oh, I feel that like most days that I leave work.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've seen where I work at.
I don't think I can get into where you work
Oh, you
anymore.
can't. But like, it's a secure area. There's no windows. I work directly on like the manufacturing floor, and it's these like really high ceilings, and there's noise all the time, and just bright manufacturing lights. And sometimes I just need to like go upstairs to where there's a window, or just like step outside real fast, and I feel like a human again.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I feel like a machine in there.
See, literally just that type of constant stimulation and constant input of information into my brain would make me upset. And then if anything else happened, I'd come home in a terrible mood.
Oh yeah. And the people who sit around me sit about this close.
Oh,
Wow.
no, I can't. I would be angry every day.
It's definitely one of those like you learn to adapt, but you're not thriving.
Can you at least get one of those like IKEA fake window things
Oh, I
to put at
should.
your desk?
And some fake plants so at least feels green.
I know. I think there's some people who try to have real plants. I'm like, that's bold.
Yeah.
Those are just you're just gonna watch it die.
That's my cube mate right there, like the cube right next to me, because I have the weird half partition ones. Plants everywhere. Oh, he has a fish tank too.
Is that allowed?
I assumed nobody has said you can't have fish here.
You can't have pets.
Yeah, I'm bringing in my cat.
It's a fish. Basically a
I'm
plant.
an office fish.
You could have
That might
one.
actually make me happier.
Honestly, yeah.
One small change to make it just a little bit less sad.
I'm gonna become the weirdest coworker if I do that though.
You're gonna be the fish lady.
Yes. It's a great idea.
Yeah, you should. If you stop by, you can say hi to the fish, because he has a sign that says "Say hi to the fish." Yeah, for real. Say hi to the fish every day.
Is it just one?
I think he said he got a beta fish, so I think he's
It's
got
gotta be just one.
He had little small fish. Maybe they died.
Interesting.
I don't know. He had like a whole ecosystem in there. It's like very green.
How does he clean it?
I think it's supposed to be self-cleaning. It's just like a lot of plants,
Interesting.
and I think he might have a clean thing in it. I don't
My
know.
one regret of not going into engineering is I can't work with any of you all ever.
Oh, they should actually, honestly.
We need
we
you.
need you.
Oh my god, I
Yeah.
I remember not my last engineer ex, but I kind of hung out with an engineer this one time who literally had never heard of self-care before. Like didn't even know it was a thing, and I was like wait, what? And they're like, yeah, what is that? I'm like, taking care of yourself? Like,
Showering.
it's
To what extent?
self-explanatory.
Self-care, that was my first thought
As an
too.
engineer, so.
Self-care is so important. And they were like, what's self-care? Like, are you okay? Who hurt you?
What shampoo?
Oh God.
I'm terrified now. Please go to therapy.
I want to give that person a hug.
Right?
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
If you smell him before you give him a hug.
They showered. It's fine. Elbow bump. Mental fist bump.
Yeah.
Okay, bringing this back. Partway through us talking about everything, I just had this huge realization of just the fact that we were sitting there talking about, man, I'm just so comfortable with all of you. I could talk about anything. I'm so grateful right now. I just feel so much happiness. I feel like I never have those conversations with men.
Oh. I don't think I've ever had, and I went to a polytech school where it was 3-to-1 men, woman. I don't think I've ever had those conversations like that.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, yeah. Thanks, bro.
I feel like whenever it gets to that level, it's never seen as like platonic.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason.
Yeah.
I heard a
Being
theory.
nice is clearly you're in love with them.
Yeah.
I heard a theory about that once. Did you have a reaction?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the theory I heard, I actually think I heard this from my brother forever ago. But because men stereotypically do not have these kinds of relationships, the only time they have a deep emotional connection is when they are married or in a romantic relationship. So if that's the only time they ever feel that way, if a woman is trying to be platonically emotionally supportive with them, their brain goes, oh, that equals this, because it's the only other time they've had those types of experiences. Whereas, feminine energy, it's like, oh my God, I love you. You are amazing. I feel so supported right now. Let's just talk about everything. Let's literally spend an hour talking about our feelings for fun. And like, that's not a normal dude hangout.
I kind of want to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, so I told you, Anna, and I don't know if I told you guys, but I met a group of guys through a meetup, and we hang out like pretty much every weekend. Just going out to Denver and grabbing some drinks, maybe dancing afterwards, but I totally feel safe with these guys. And like, I think, like I kind of want to, like, based on this conversation, I kind of want to change that, like I want to be there for them, especially if they're feeling like down, because I think there was one guy that was like, I'm never gonna find anybody, like I'm not worthy, and I'm like, you absolutely are. Like I was doing everything I could as far as like I've been trained for this, like I go to therapy, I can get him to see his self-worth, and like I wanted to help him so bad. And like maybe it was the alcohol, I don't know, but like the last thing on my mind was like what wasn't like if I am overly nice, like is he gonna take that the wrong way? Like I was just in like full help mode, and I kind of want to do that, like at least share. And I've shared my experience with a couple of other dudes like in that group separately, 1-to-1, about like how therapy is great, and like it can, talking about your feelings and talking about and being open and honest with people, I feel like is so much better than just keeping it all in.
It's so important.
It's so important.
It literally helps us be healthier and live longer. And I love that you said that too, because I feel like I grew up with 3 older brothers. Most of my friends have been dudes throughout my entire life. But my brain very rarely goes to, and also I'm romantically interested in you. It's just, no, I'm your friend. And friends support friends through anything, which means if you're having a hard time, I'm going to be there emotionally for you. Yeah. But I have also had a lot of guys misinterpret or think there is something more there. And it's like, no. I'm just being your friend. This is what being someone's friend is. And I agree. I think that's something that I hope changes, because I think the guys that can't see that kind of platonic friendship are hurting. They are missing so much because they can't seem to let that exist in their lives.
And it's hard for one of them to open up to like the rest of the guy friend group, I feel like, because then it's seen as like you're too sensitive or other negative connotations. Maybe too feminine, for instance.
Yeah.
So.
It's weakness.
It's weakness, yeah.
When in reality, if they're sharing something difficult, they probably need help, and you should help them. It's that simple. Well, any other thoughts?
More wine?
More?
There is a tiny bit.
There's a tiny bit left.
That's all you, Mariah. You want some more? No? I'm going to pour myself some of the Snoop Dogg wine.
You're going to the
Yes.
wine, I'll go for Malbec. He brought the nicer tasting wine.
Oh, okay.
I got the better treat here.
I mean,
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I was like, Snoop Dogg makes a decent red.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good, but the Malbec's pretty awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Do you like from work though? That, like, I don't know. Do you mostly end up like having guy friends because of work?
No, actually. I would say that I don't have too many work friends. If I do, it's another quality engineer, and she's female. And I've hung out with her. She has like a big friend group, and I think has more work friends than I do. But she's the closest one I am with friends at work. And I'm okay with that. Like, I think there was a point where I was just like, I think it was envious that like people that we met through the friend group worked at the same company, and they were all friends. They worked together and everything to an extent. But like at our work, I kind of like there was a point that I like kind of wanted the same thing, but now I'm like, I'm fine just having this one girl.
Yeah, for those listening, we're all engineers, which
Except me.
all of the guests are engineers. And clearly there aren't that many women in engineering, and we're also all in aerospace now, which has an even lower percentage of women in engineering. So
my
I
God.
imagine we all mostly work with dudes.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun, but yeah.
Honestly, I kind of want to have you back, if you're willing to come, and to talk about STEM and just this aerospace dynamic, because it is a little rare. And again, you are all incredibly exceptional women. You're brilliant, but you're also kind and emotionally intelligent. And I mean, we just sat here having this conversation. Like, I would love to know more about your experiences, whether that's separately or together as a group, however you would be willing to do it. But I think there's so much here that people just haven't heard about.
If Jen brings Malbec, and I'm not the only one.
Oh, girl, I got you.
I feel like that one would be so interesting together,
Yeah.
because I'd love
Yes.
to hear like, hey, have you guys gone through this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we all have the exact same stories. I mean, it's not even just aerospace, it's tech too, right? I have a friend in California who was in startups when I was at big company, and then I'm at a small company, and it feels like at every stage of our career we're going through the exact same thing.
Wow.
In totally, different companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should definitely do an episode about that in the future. So I am formally inviting you all back. And maybe next time I'll prepare the food, since it'll be my payment of having you all here. So thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me intrude ladies' night with microphones. And thanks for being so open.
Anything for you, Anna.
Anything for you, Jen.
Honestly.
I would walk to the ends of the earth for you. You are a beautiful goddess.
I will walk to the end of the universe for you.
Oh my god.
Damn.
How do we end these? Do we clap?
I love how Jen and I are in like a compliment battle, and Mariah's like, please hang up, please stop recording.
How do we end
This
this?
is over. The end. Kara's gonna bark to end it. Good girl, thank you. I am so grateful for Emily, Jen, and Mariah for joining me during this episode. Having such an incredible group of brilliant women that I trust so dearly joining me for such a basic concept of naming feelings ended up taking a turn for the deeper, and I love it. The only reason we were able to get there is because we trust each other and support each other, and I am so happy that you all got to witness that sharing of love, support, and gratitude. Creating a space like this that I have with these women is just an example of what it looks like to take a step towards a deep and meaningful connection. And if you listened to this and had the reaction of, I don't know if I have this kind of relationship with anyone, I suggest you build some curiosity around what's getting in the way. Hopefully you learned something today. And if you have any questions for this podcast or any themes you'd like us to focus on in the future, send us a message on Instagram at Insights With Us Podcast, or send us an email at insightswithus@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to hear more, please follow, like, or subscribe. If you want to support the continuation of this podcast, you can donate. To do so, you can visit my website and donate on Podbean's Patreon program, or find Insights With Us on buymeacoffee.com. I appreciate you, and I appreciate that you are listening. Thanks for creating Insight with us.